Imagine losing your insanely valuable collection of vintage baseball cards in a tornado. Hey, it's Mike. Thanks for tuning back in. So this is actually an Antiques Roadshow episode that aired 6 years ago today, or at least it was uploaded to YouTube 6 years ago today. I'm not sure how far before that it aired, but it doesn't matter. It's just an interesting coincidence. So this is about a woman who brought her husband's childhood collection into Antiques Roadshow. Now, if you have a childhood vintage sports card collection, this channel, this video here is sponsored by Just Collect. You may consider bringing your collection to Just Collect. Led by Leighton Sheldon, is one of the biggest sports card vintage buyers in the country. You can go to justcollect.com and fill out their free appraisal form and get an appraisal, or you can just email leighton@justcollect.com. I know several people who have done that, who have reached out to me and asked where they can go. So that's what I would do. Going on Antiques Roadshow is a cool idea, but I think people tend to do what they know. When you see it on TV, you bring it into Antiques Roadshow and you end up on TV and it's fun, maybe. But I would call a reputable sports card dealer. So she brought her cards. They pulled out 3 of the best cards from her husband's collection. And she said that he collected from 1951 to 1958. And he had just forgotten about them. When he was a kid, all of his friends had taped their cards onto their walls, but he had taken really good care of them. So his friends who still had cards left had tape marks on them, probably paper loss, or their mothers had thrown away their cards. And his mother, named Maud, which is a great mom name from the 1950s, Maud, had not thrown them away. In fact, she had put them in a grocery bag and then given them to her son and her son's wife, and they put them in the attic for many, many, many years. And then at some point, her husband was out of town for the weekend, and she had gone up into the attic and pulled the cards out of the attic. And she was looking through them and she thought it was amazing. She didn't realize what a great collection he had from his childhood. And then a month later, a tornado tore through and destroyed everything that was in their attic. But she had taken the cards out, so it had saved the cards. Pretty amazing story. Imagine, thankfully my collection isn't that valuable, and I live in Maine where there are no tornadoes. But I'm trying to think of some sort of a big event that could cause severe destruction of my collection. Yeah, get your collections insured. I am actually working on getting my collection insured, and I will do a video on that in the semi-near future. And no, I'm not sponsored by any sort of insurance company. So when she pulled these out and went through them, her husband got back. He was impressed with what he had from his childhood. He had forgotten all about it, which is cool. I mean, this is an attic find. And I know I brand this as Attic Find Friday, this series. But some of these are like in their basement or in a storage container. But this one is legitimately, hey, I pulled your cards out of the attic. Check out what you have. Oh, wow, this is amazing, which is so much fun. Like, I go through my childhood cards occasionally, and it's like 1990 Larry Walker rookies, which I love. I love these cards, but there's no value to them. And these ones have some value. So let's talk through what we have. So the assessor is Grant Zahaiko, who owns an auction house called Grant Zahaiko Auctions, or Zahaiko Auction House, something like that. I had never heard of him before. He calls himself a sports card expert and also an expert in various other collectibles. So they have all the 3 cards that they pull out are all raw. They're big boy cards. And Zahaiko guesses on the grade of each of the cards. The first one is a 1952 Jackie Robinson. Beautiful, stunning card. Just the colors on it, the centering is good. He guesses a 6, which seems reasonable based on what we see, which isn't much. But he guesses a 6, and he estimates that value to be $2,000 to $4,000. So remember, this is 6 years ago. I looked up current value. A 6 now goes for $25,000 to $30,000. So did she sell? I don't know. I wish I could look her up and find out. Did she sell at the $2,000 to $4,000, or is she still holding them valued at 6 to 8 times or 10 plus times what he had quoted? The next card is the 1954 Wilson Franks Ted Williams, a grail for any Ted Williams collector. This is a tough one to come by. There are only about 200 graded in the PSA population. And again, I say this a lot, but for any new people here, the SGC Pop report isn't easy to use. It's not great. It's better than it used to be. But I use PSA because it's so much easier. It also gives me auction prices, recent public sales of cards. I'm hoping that the SGC one improves as well and we start getting public sales of SGC cards. So this 1954 Wilson Franks Ted Williams I'm a Ted Williams collector, as you can tell here by a couple of Ted Williams cards. It is the toughest card in the Ted Williams Master Set, or basic, Ted Williams Basic Set, I don't remember, I think one of those two. So Zaheiko says, this one looks better than the other two cards at first glance, but it has some staining on the back, and it has a very almost imperceptible crease on the bottom left-hand corner, he says. He estimates the grade to be a 4, and he estimates the value at $2,000 to $4,000 at that time, 6 years ago. Now, I couldn't find any public sales of a 4 for years. The last one was 2021, $9,000 it sold for. That's 3 years ago. And these rare vintage cards, rare desirable vintage cards, are still going up at this point. A 2 recently, fairly recently, sold for $7,000. But no other graded authentic to a 5 has sold publicly in the last year. That's how rare these are. The Pop Report, only 75 or so are higher than a 4, which is really interesting. It's like, these are low grade typically. So the next one is the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle. That's the big boy. Now, Zaheiko calls this Mantle's rookie card. We're going to let him slide on that. Some people still believe it's his rookie card, even some experts. I saw somebody on Twitter the other day arguing that it is his rookie card. I didn't get the case. Like, I've been hearing about Michael Jordan's rookie card. Is it the Star? Is it the 86 Fleer? I understand the argument for the Star, and it's a pretty compelling case. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. I don't think there's a very compelling case for the Mantle 52 Topps being his rookie, but I'm open to it. I just haven't heard it. He also says that this is a must-have for any Mantle collector, when in reality it's a must-have for any collector. And at the time, he said that the PSA, that a card graded a 1, went for about $5,000. If only it only went for $5,000 now, I would be saving for one. That's a big deal. Now, of course, a 1 goes for $25,000 to $30,000. It is 5 or 6x'd in 6 years. He guesses the grade to be a 5, which he says is valued at about $30,000. The last 5 sold publicly in 2022 for $120,000 plus. There were a few of them. They averaged around $120,000. One was, I think, $129,000. So yeah, it's we've seen a massive increase, especially in these big iconic Grail cards in the last 6 years. And speaking of big iconic Grail cards, make sure you sign up for my newsletter, junkwaxhero.com, because I will be, as soon as I have an open couple of hours, starting my newsletter, starting my Grail newsletter countdown ranking of my Grail sports cards. And it's a meaty list, you might say. So go to junkwaxhero.com. Newsletter is free. And I do a Monday roundup of sports card news and rumors and things like that. So yeah, if what would you have sold if he had told you, if you brought this into Antiques Roadshow and Grant Sahiko said, these cards are worth $40,000 combined, these 3 cards. Would you have sold right after that, or would you have hung on to them? I know it depends on the situation. I'm just curious about yours. Let me know in comments. I probably, honestly, at the time, would have sold. And now I don't know. I'd hang on to the Jackie, and I'd hang on to the Ted Williams, but I'd probably sell the Mantle because, man, there's a lot I could do with $120,000, minus taxes, of course. Yeah, it's I would probably sell, but let me know what you think, what you would do. All right, that's it for today. I'll be back again tomorrow with another Clearing the Bases episode, and hopefully more time next week than I had this week. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great weekend.